Hello everyone. I'm excited to welcome Uttera Singh and Raashi Kulkarni to today's conversation. Uttera is a talented actor, filmmaker, and adjunct professor at the USC School of Cinematic Arts. Her feature directorial debut, Pinch, is premiering at the prestigious Tribeca Film Festival under the International Narrative Competition. Alongside her is Raashi Kulkarni, an accomplished composer and classical pianist based in Los Angeles. Raashi's distinctive musical voice spans genres from drama to animation, and her work can be heard in films like A Nice Indian Boy, Wedding Season, and the Disney Plus film World's Best. Raashi and Uttara recently collaborated on Pinch, and I'm delighted to dive into their creative journey, inspirations, and what's next for both of them. So, welcome to ITV Gold, both Uttara and Raashi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's start with the questions right away because I know you have Tribeca to go to as a panelist or something really big and exciting, right, Uttara?
Well, we're on a panel this evening, which is with South Asian House. So yes, excited about that.
Uttara, let's talk about Pinch, your feature directorial debut premiering at Tribeca. Congratulations, first of all, and share some milestone journey for this film and what does this film mean to you personally and professionally?
Well, firstly, thank you so much for having us on ITV. This is kind of a fangirl moment. I have watched ITV in my uncle and aunt's home and my grandparents' home. So thank you so much for having us.
Pleasure.
Our film is premiering at Tribeca Festival with as part of the International Narrative Competition. And, it's a story about a mother-daughter dealing with an incident of assault. And I think it's a comedy. So we'll find out what other people think. But I wanted to approach this drama with some comfort, humor, and a little bit of more, a different take on most assault films. So we can make the conversation more accessible and bring men into the conversation.
Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. लेकिन आज उसके पहले माता जी के मंदिर दर्शन करने जाने मम्मा तक दे
तेरा कोई लेना देना तो नहीं है ना जो कुछ हो.
What inspired the story of Pinch and how did you approach bringing it to life on screen?
Well, it's an old school, completely indie film. So it was, going back to my hometown in Indore and filming there. And very grateful that my entire community came together and helped me. So the credit goes to them. And then when I came back and was editing the film and doing the post, my other community came together, which is my film school community. And that's where Raashi and I met. So, it was working with my friends, working with people I knew from college. So it's actually a huge collaborative effort and how this film has come together.
Okay, you're talking about the film coming together, but how was the seed?
Actually, my Nanu used to tell me this story when I was 6 years old about how one of my cousins was so naughty that she would go into crowds and pinch people. And every time I would go back, we all go to Nani's house, So every time I would go to her house, I would be like, Nanu, please tell me that story. Tell me that story again. And that image remained with me for a long time. I wrote it as a short film first, and then one of my producers told me, no, pursue it as a feature film. So wrote that. Then my co-writer came on board. And we finished the screenplay. And then first we wrote it in English and then wrote it in Hindi all over again. So it was a long process.
I can imagine. Are you the protagonist of this film?
Yes, I am.
How much do you pinch people on screen and off screen?
Well, that's a tough question to answer. I don't go around pinching people because I think I don't want to get in people's faces. But in the movie, I pinch once.
That's it.
I gave away the big reveal of our film. The pinch only happens once.
Okay, but there must be like a build up and someone you really want to pinch in the film. I'm getting close, warmer.
Well, it's a different take, and that's why I highly recommend you should come watch the movie. And please, all your audiences, if you are in New York, please come watch our movie.
Absolutely. Raashi, coming to you. Congratulations to you as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for bringing me along on this interview as well.
Pleasure. Your work spans a wide range of genres and formats. How do you adapt your compositional style to suit something like Pinch?
That's such a great question. It really depends on my collaborator and having a very open communication. So when Uttera and I started talking about this film, we met up for coffee and we just talked. I wanted to know, like, what is she looking for? What is the style of music maybe she's thinking of? She came over to my studio and we just kind of jammed, and like that's what I'm saying with Uttera. It was so special because she was very hands-on, and we would sit together while I would go through my library of sounds and like really decide together if we liked certain sounds for the film, if we liked certain, rhythmic beats. So she was very involved in that process. But it's all about open communication and just going back and forth on ideas. That's kind of how I approach every project.
And this takes place in a small town, in Indore, maybe not that kind of a small town, and you are based in LA. Were you born and brought up in LA or are you from India?
I've been in LA for 10 years. I was actually born in Maryland.
Okay. So that's like, how did you like really navigate the culture and the folk beats in Indore or that part of the world?
I mean, my parents are very musical and I grew up in a very musical household. So listening to Indian music, Indian classical, Bollywood, all the things, it was something that was very much part of my childhood. So it didn't seem like, I was really reaching. It's just a part of who I am and what I've grown up with.
Did you go to India for this?
I didn't go to India for when she was shooting, but I was involved quite early. So we were actually working together and I was writing music that she ended up going back and shooting in India for like additional footage. So that's nice to be able to be involved so early in a process where the music is kind of helping tell certain points of the story, but Uttera can talk more about that.
Did she give you some examples or, some kind of pieces that you could listen to so that you have an idea of what she wanted?
No, because it was her coming over and like me giving ideas. Again, it like with this story, we wanted the music to be really propulsive and helping to add tension to certain scenes. Because, music is a universal language. It's supposed to help tell the story and help support her vision as the director and the lead and the producer and the writer. So like, it's it was a lot of just like sending different ideas back to her and seeing what she liked and seeing how things would fit to picture.
Uttera, coming to you now, you balance multiple roles as an actor, filmmaker, and professor. How do these roles influence each other in your creative process?
Well, I just really relate to Charlie Chaplin. I think it just is my way of functioning. So I think it was easier. Teaching is separate. I enjoy it. I come from a family of educators, so I've been in a school environment for a long time, and seeing my both my parents be educators, it's just not comes naturally. I think it's a very respectable and a very hard profession, and I just enjoy teaching. I enjoy sharing. Not that I know everything. I actually learned more with teaching than I have by being a student. And as for the other parts, I love doing it. I love I enjoy it. So I look forward to doing it, doing all the roles.
Rashi, you've scored many notable projects, including A Nice Indian Boy and World's Best. How does working on a film like Pinch compare?
I mean, I am very lucky that I've gotten to work with my friends. To me, those are the most fun collaborations. And so each of those experiences were wonderful because I was working with people that I really enjoyed working with. And with Uttara, I've known her for so long. I first came to know of her work on a web series that our friend did called The Fav and I. And I
Okay.
saw her as this wonderful actor. And then I saw her in her work called Fanny Pack. It was a short. And I knew, like, I was like, Uttara's a star. I just,
Ah.
you just know. And so, yeah, each project is very different and asks for different things musically. And I think the most, amazing thing you can do is work with your friends and grow together. And that's what I got to do on each of those projects.
Wonderful. Uttara, talk about working with such a diverse and talented cast, including Geeta Agrawal, Sunita Rajwar, and others.
Also, I just want to quickly say Rashi is a star. Rashi is amazing to work with, and it was an honor to work with her. As for Geeta ma'am, Sunita ma'am, Sapna ma'am, and our entire cast, it was an absolute pleasure. To be honest, I learned so much from them, and it was something that I'm so grateful because they trusted me, and they were okay that I was directing and I was in it, and they never ever questioned that, which I will forever be grateful for that because they're all very accomplished actresses, very well trained, and they actually brought that training and discipline to set every single day. They were prepared, they were on time, they were kind to everybody. So that was actually one of the best experiences for me to work with them.
Talk about the production process, pre-production, and also how difficult or easy was it to raise funds for your film?
Well, it's always hard. Independent films are a miracle in themselves. Actually, any film or any project is a miracle if you just keep going, and that's how you get done. Pre-production, we had intended to make it as a short film first, and then decided to make it as a feature. So everything changed, and then took us 10 months to put it together. But we've shot over 24 days, and it was a mix of my USC, my co-writer, who's also the cinematographer, who actually took a lot of the burden of framing the shots, and I depended on him, Adam, for the cinematography, and I trusted him. Like when I'm in front of the camera, I knew that he's gonna shoot it properly, which he did. We're very happy with the way it looks. So it's been a journey, and independent cinema is a journey. We're still on it.
Great. Rashi, you're an advocate for women in film music. How do you see the industry evolving, and what advice would you give aspiring composers?
Oh, wow. What a great question. Yes, I've talked about this so many times ad nauseum, but I think it's an important conversation to have. Women composers are the least represented demographic in our industry, and so I'm a huge advocate for amplifying women, amplifying underrepresented communities, just because the barriers to entry are high. And so I am a governor of the Recording Academy for the LA chapter. I'm also on the board of It's called the Alliance for Women Film Composers, and it's an organization that amplifies women and women identifying composers. So I do a lot of work to amplify women and women identifying composers in the community, whether it's through panels, whether it's through referring people for jobs that they would be a good fit for, and basically getting it out there that we are just as capable of doing this work as our counterparts. And it's just about leveling the playing field and creating opportunities that give access. And that's the main thing, is the opportunity is not always there. There's the limitation to the access that women often get in this industry. So if you are an aspiring composer, I would just say keep working on your craft, because nobody can take your work away from you.
Great answer. Uttara, coming to you now, what themes or messages do you hope audiences take away from Pinch?
That's a really good question. And I have a very biased answer to that. I said what I needed to say with the film, and now it's open to interpretation. Whatever the audience chooses to feel and take away from it is theirs. If you heal, you heal. If it makes you angry, makes you angry. If it's, brings you joy, we've accomplished our goal. It's, if it makes you feel something. And that was our intention. So I'm excited to hear from our audiences, and I'm here to listen.
Great. Raashi, outside of film, your solo albums and global performances have gained acclaim. How do these personal projects feed back into your film work?
Oh man, yeah. Those albums are for me. I always say that as an artist, as a composer, you have to make space for art that is just your work. As a composer for film and TV, you're an artisan. You're helping to tell someone else's story and collaborating with those people to bring their vision to life. That is my job as a composer. But then when I release my own music, that's my thing. That's my baby, And so I just think it's important to be able to tell my story, and that's why I put those albums out, because I wrote the 2 albums that I've released so far, while I was working full time in film and television, and it became an outlet for me to then tell my story. And yeah, so I think having both is wonderful. Being able to tell other people's stories, and then, being able to tell my story.
What's your story like?
It's still being written.
I see a very interesting backdrop where you are in your Zoom frame. So I want to ask you, is that like a real backdrop, or is that like a virtual one?
Me or Uttara?
For you, Raashi.
Oh, yeah, this is my studio. These are sound panels. They kind of dampen the sound.
Okay, and I was like, those are like blank canvases, like.
Look like blank, yeah, they do. But it's
this is where we compose the music.
Wow.
This is where the magic happens.
Is that a little piano or a Casio next to you?
Yeah, that's my dad actually got this in the 80s. It was his first like big purchase, and now that was like one of the first things I ever learned to play on when I was like 6 years old.
Nice. So do you have something from Pinch that you can like quickly play for us?
A lot of that is very percussive. I'll just give that away. But the one thing that should we just say the one line that we use a lot, Uttara?
Let's do it. You have the better singing voice than I do.
I'm not going to sing it, but we used a lot of percussion in this film, and one thing that we were able to do to kind of then, I guess, add to the rawness of it was include vocals. So you're going to hear a lot of this phrase "takadimi," and that's all I'm going to say, because you have to watch the movie to.
Absolutely. Uttara, what challenges did you face during production, and how did you overcome them?
Well, as anybody in production would answer, is that every day is a new challenge. Every day is a new day. So you are facing, and you just one thing my father always tells me, and I kind of now live by it. Sachin Tendulkar only focuses on the next ball. That's it. That's all he thinks about. When Sachin Tendulkar plays, he only thinks about the next ball. And that's all you can do is focus on the next ball. Everything else, we'll figure it out.
Wow.
So each day, I'm trying to listen to my dad and be like, okay,
Great.
what's my next ball? What's in front of me? And that's all I can, focus on.
Wonderfully answered. I'm sure your father will be very happy to hear that. You mentioned your grandfather and now your father also.
Yeah.
Other members of your family, what role did they have in your film?
I think it's a big family production. They all help. I'm there because of them. So they get all the credit.
Wonderful. What's next for you as a filmmaker after Tribeca? Any upcoming projects or goals you'd like to share?
Well, we have a festival run coming up. So we're excited to travel the world with our film. And hopefully we get to screen it in India and we all go to India together and, see it with the cast and crew. And then working on a couple of projects, writing and teaching.
Great, wonderful. Wonderful having both of you here at ITV Gold. Thank you, Uttera and Raashi, for sharing your insights and stories with us today. Best of luck with Pinch at Tribeca and all your exciting future endeavors. We look forward to watching your continued journey unfold, and please do share any details about your film screening at Tribeca.
Thank you so much. And please tell your audiences to come. We need the support. We want to see you at our screenings in New York. So our first screening is sold out after we were featured in New York Times. Our second screening is on 7th of June at 11 a.m. At the VEC Angelica Theatre. The third screening is on June 9th at 3:15. Again at the AMC, 19th Street. And the fourth screening is on the 14th of June at 11 a.m.
All right. Thank you so much for talking to us and good luck.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Pleasure. Bye.